Greetings. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about a few genocides, and really the main focus here is on the fact that these two different countries committed two different genocides during two different time periods, and also against two different, or actually different sets of victims. So a lot of times when we focus on a genocide, we may not look back at the history, but I'd like to do that briefly. And one of the problems, of course, I face is not being able to be comprehensive in a very short video, but just to kind of touch on the basic themes that run through these genocides. In your textbook, there's a discussion of the genocide against Hereros, and also Dominic Schaller in the book by Toden and Parsons, Centuries of Genocide, focuses on the idea that there were actual genocides against the Herero and the Nama. And this was led by a German general, von Trotha. And so in essence, Germany in the 1904 to 1907 period committed a genocide. And we'll see later when we start discussing the Holocaust that indeed that it wasn't that long before that Germany actually committed a genocide. Very different in many ways, but the fact remains that the country of Germany committed a genocide against the Hereros and Nama. And basically what we have here are the Germans trying to take over the land. They wanted the land, and they were settling in Africa, in Namibia actually, or Southwest Africa, and they decided that they would take the land. The Herero wanted to keep their land, obviously, so the Germans that were living there went ahead and started to kill them. And one of the features, and of course if we look at probably the main motivation behind this genocide, is primarily for economic and land purposes. And this is a genocide that's often ignored. When I first started studying genocide, I didn't even know this genocide existed. I knew, of course, about the Holocaust. I had studied the Holocaust in elementary school, in junior high, in high school, in college, but I'd never heard of the Herero genocide. And so if you ask me if the country of Germany engaged in the first genocide during the Holocaust, I would have not known that. Not too long prior to that, they did engage in another genocide. And one of the interesting features here, and again, Schaller points this out, is that the Germans used concentration camps that they set up, and they put civilians into these concentration camps. And there were three phases, basically. There were massacring non-combatants and driving the Herero into the desert where they would die from starvation and dehydration. And they also would burn the land where the Herero and Nama lived. And then the second phase was the establishment of concentration camps, and then the third was when some of the prisoners were released and used as slave labor. And so you actually had slavery occurring at this time, as well as the killings. We also had sex crimes occurring. Rape was common, and also kids and children were killed. the Herero were burned alive and were tortured, and so we had an extremely high level of violence in this situation. So I think that's very relevant just to point out that this genocide did occur between 1904 and 1907, and conducted by the local German leaders that were living in the Southwest Africa area at the time. And only recently really have we seen English translations of books and articles on this genocide, and there has been discussions of restitution, and the Herero are making a comeback.